Welcome back to Parent Porch Summit, where we are helping you get out of the chaos. And so I am excited about this session. We're going to chat with a good friend of mine, longtime friend. I don't know, that makes me feel old. Um, but when we're friends for
We
over
are
a
old.
decade, I feel like that's a long time. We're going to talk about success with money. We're going to speak to Dr. McCray, who is a father who is very passionate about helping people find success with money. And so I'm going to pass it over to you. Tell us a little bit about you, why you sort of like not fell into finance, but decided to make personal finance a career path, and where people can find you.
Yeah, so just as a whole, I am the CEO and co-founder of the Accounting Lab, which is a full service tax and advisory firm. I'm also the executive director of the Envision Wealth Foundation, where I spend a majority of my time making sure that I give back to underserved businesses, underserved communities when it comes to financial topics, finances. I am also the managing partner of Envision Wealth Management, which is a full service financial advisory firm. So, how did I get into finances? And I think it's by happenstance, honestly. Former college basketball player that thought I was going to be in the NBA playing the pros. And, they say if you, want to make God laugh, tell him you're playing, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing for me is that I thought I had one track record that was going to go, or one track that was going to be the best for me. I was on the right track, but I was just on the wrong train. So that,
Okay.
I had to fix that. But I got into financial services because I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a lower income household. My father raised me along with three other siblings, actually two other siblings, so three of us total. And I think the biggest thing for me is just that there is a misconception about the dollar, and we don't consciously think about how to actually use it. And for me, I wanted to learn that more and more. Like I tell people all the time, I hate math, but I love money. So I mean, how could I not get into it?
Yeah.
Um, and I try to teach my kids the exact same way when we do like financial field trips and things like that. And of course, I'll talk about that as well. But it's understanding the value of the dollar, and realizing that there's more than just one currency in life. People think it's just money, but there's more to it than that. So I fell into it because I knew that my father tried everything that he possibly could to make sure that we were successful when it came to finances and understanding it. But again, we're taught what we see, right? So we
Yeah.
learn by seeing, and not necessarily always by doing, or by how somebody teaches us. So one of the biggest things that I actually said it today on another show, but let your audio match your visual, right?
I like
So
that.
if you're gonna tell people one thing, make sure you're showing them the exact same thing, right? And unfortunately, we're not raised in communities to where we're being told and shown the exact same thing. It's normally, do as I say, not as I do. Right.
Yes.
I'm a bad habit of that. Like I'm a creature of that one for sure. And I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, do as I say, not as I do. But we watch and we see more than we listen.
For sure. I like that. I like the like concept of accounting lab, and also envision wealth. And then I like this piece about like being conscious about it, because so much of
Mhm.
it is unconscious. And I think it speaks to exactly what you just said. It's that like unconsciously, I have been watching what you did. So no matter what you just told me to do, I watched what you did. It got in
Mhm.
the unconscious, and that becomes my habit. And so
That's right.
um so I love that this is like your focus. So let's jump into our chat. Let's help some
Let's
families a little
go.
bit.
That's it.
So we already know families feel overwhelmed by finances. I'm sure that somebody is in their seat right now, anxious about what are they about to tell me about money, right? So what are the first steps that parents should take to gain control of their finances and set a strong foundation for financial success for their household?
Absolutely. The first thing I say is create the awareness, right? It's just kind of like going to AA, right? Hey, my name is King. I have a problem. Okay, being
Yeah.
being able to admit that, right? And then for a long period of time, I wasn't able to admit that, but once I did admit it, that's how I started to focus and work on it, right? Because at that point, I could go back to the basics. The first thing that I would tell anybody that's listening that thinks that they have an issue is number one, be honest about it. Okay, understand that hey, there's a financial issue, there's a financial problem. Maybe I am financially obese. Maybe I have too much debt. Maybe I'm just not in my best financial mindset and I need to change that. The second thing I would do is put it out on paper, right? Write down, literally write down, use an Excel spreadsheet or whatever it may be, how much money comes in and then how much money goes out.
Yeah.
At that point, most of us, right, are already in the black. But because of our spending habits, how we utilize the currency, how we utilize money as a whole, more often than not, we end up being in the red. But if you were conscious enough to realize that, hey, I have X amount of dollars coming in, I know for a fact I have X amount of dollars going out, the difference is where I'm spending that money that I really don't know where it goes, right? So get back into a conscious mindset of realizing that, hey, I do need to look at my bank statement. I do need to look at the subscriptions. I do need to understand what I have and how much money is going out because once you are aware, once you see it, you start to make changes. But until you see it, you're not going to do anything about it.
That those are excellent. I think we tend to hide it. We tend to think the bank statement is enough, and I didn't go
Hmm.
negative, so I must be fine. But did you save? Did you invest? Did everything get paid on time? Right? You can't
Hmm.
hide from that. It's the same as like teaching children. It doesn't sink in until they can actually see what's happening. Right? Yeah,
Right.
I'm potty training my son, and so it doesn't click for him while we're sitting on the potty until he potties, and then we reinforce the behavior. Then he's like,
Hmm.
oh, and like, oh, okay, I see why I go in here, because if I go in
Yeah,
here it doesn't end up in my clothes. Okay, cool,
exactly.
now I know what this is for. And it's similar with finances. If you are going to spend your time hiding from it, you can't fix it. You won't
Hmm.
even know what needs to be fixed. You might be going to somebody for budgeting and that's not your issue. The
Right.
like, your issue is putting aside money to save, or you don't understand investing, or you don't even have a plan, period. So
Right. Oh, yeah.
I like that you talked about that. I also remember early on seeing one of your financial like seminars that you did, and going home and being like, "Where is my money going?" Oh, I keep buying books. I was buying books all the time, buying books I'm not reading. Why? Go to the library. Like, all your money is going to books and
Right.
happy hours with your
Right.
friends. What? How is that helping me at all? No.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
no. So then
Right.
I started looking into life insurance, and I started talking to my grandma about life insurance, and we got her some. I don't know if you know this, but she passed away a few months ago. But she had life
Mm.
insurance, and I was the first person to talk to her about that, and that was because of you. So I
Mm.
probably should have told you that before this, but it was life changing, right? And it was life changing
Right.
more than just in my life, but in hers. She got to have like the homegoing she wanted in her way, because of that. And I can say that that came from me starting there and saying, let me go and spread the wealth even to my adult family. I didn't have kids then. So, how do I help the adults there? And so I think just starting there, that foundation of seeing where you are, thinking about the mindset, it can take you a really long way that I think some people are
Right.
like scared of. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that that's one of your first tips.
Well, my
Um,
condolences, definitely, because she was an amazing woman. But I think it's beneficial for people to hear that type of story, right? While loss is always hard,
yeah,
and definitely will continue to pray for your family. The piece of it is that we have to be aware, right? And we're not going to be aware unless we have the conversation. And so many of us are scared to just have that conversation, especially with our parents. We
yeah,
don't want to think about loss, right? We don't want to
no,
think about our parents not being here, or we don't want to think about our, grandparents, even our children not being here. But we have to have these conversations because they're important. Things like life insurance is a valuable tool. I remember talking to another friend of mine, and her mother had passed away. She absolutely had no idea what to do, and I helped her with that situation to make sure that she was in the know. And it changes somebody's life when you forget that, oh, life insurance was a thing. My parents actually thought about me. I inherit this money. She was able to pay off debt, right? And put
yep,
herself on a financial trajectory. Now she owns her own business. Those things is just like it was a seed, right? That was planted over time, watered, and then it turned into a full blossom, or a full bloom in this case. And that's important for people to hear that. So
yeah.
again, blessings to the family. Definitely, definitely our condolences. But I think it's great for you to to continue to push that message for people to understand that.
Yeah. And it really does matter. It may not be life insurance for you, right? It might be budgeting. Like that
Hmm.
changes the family. It might be savings. It might be trying to invest. Who knows what it will be for the family? But I think spreading the knowledge so people can make decisions and have access to it matters.
Right.
Uh, and on that track of budgeting, um, you already know that raising kids can be expensive, especially when we
Ah,
start
yes.
talking about activities and vacation and clothes and shoes and food.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yes.
I'm sitting here like the clothes and shoes and the food get me every time. What are some practical budgeting strategies that families can use to manage their expenses and still feel like they can save for the future?
So first and foremost, let's talk about these crumb snatchers, okay? They're going to be around for a long time, and even as kids grow up and get older, they're still going to be needy. They're still going to be needing you to parent and to be there as a support system, whether it be financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. So I think that we all need to invest in ourselves to make sure that we're ready for that, especially
Yeah.
as a parent, right? I'm a father of four, and ooh, let me tell y'all about these kids. Somebody come get these kids now. Uh, it's a challenge, right? Every day is a challenge, and at the end of the day, I don't care how much money you make, you'll never be prepared for the challenges that you face with having children and the support that they need, especially once they get into like sports, um, and just additional activities in the future. So one of the best ways that I could tell you to budget is to number one, have separate accounts set aside for that individual child, right? Whatever it may be. This could be a pre-planning session, or if you're, you have children now, you can go ahead and again just start now. Petty cash accounts for the kids, making sure that they are, funds set aside for those emergency type situations specifically for your child, or if you want to help them invest in their future, whether it be through school, sports, whatever it may be, set aside a small amount of money for those things. When it comes to clothing, toiletries, the necessities of life, number one, never be afraid to ask for help. Okay. Never be afraid to ask for help. Number two, always be okay with hand me downs. I can't tell you how many friends have helped us over the years and just passed down their kids' clothes. Listen,
Yes.
it doesn't matter to me. They're gonna tear up them shoes and they're gonna tear up them clothes. Stop going out there buying these
Yes.
J's and these Nikes. It's okay. Go to Walmart, go to Target, whatever it may be. Get the cheap shoes. I remember. I know y'all remember this. Y'all remember the Shacks. Y'all remember the Shacks. I know y'all remember
Yes.
the Shacks.
Yes.
I know y'all remember that. Listen, I was okay with wearing that as a kid because I knew I was gonna tear it up. Right? Did I want the Jordans? Did I want the Dunks and all the other stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But knowing kids today, they're gonna tear up shoes. Most of the time today, anyway, kids are just wearing what slides and what's the other one? Crocs. Okay,
Crocs. Yeah.
now, Crocs are becoming expensive, right? Because they caught on to it. So, but just realize that things like hand-me-downs and I know we all want the best for our children, but sometimes it's okay to scale back on the expensive items, right? The name brand, the designer clothes, and the designer shoes, because we have to put ourselves in position to think, all right, I'm going to go out and buy these $250 Jordans or $200 Jordans or whatever it may be. And in a week, they're going to be scuffed up. Kids crease their shoes. They try to walk funny. My daughter does it all the time. Oh, my goodness. She tries to walk a certain way so she doesn't crease her shoes, which I appreciate. Thank you for that. But eventually, the shoes are going to wear down, right?
Yeah.
So, again, create those accounts specifically for those one-off items or those emergency situations. Number two, don't be afraid of the hand-me-downs. Don't be afraid of being able to go source your clothes in other places. I used to shop at the Goodwill. I still shop at the Goodwill. I still shop at the
Yeah.
thrift store. You can listen. Nobody judge me. It doesn't matter to me, right?
No.
The biggest thing that you need to understand is that clothes don't make the man, man make the clothes, right? It's all about how you walk, how you talk, how you present yourself. And the last thing that I would say is make sure that the items you need are a need, especially for our children. Okay. The
Yeah.
items that you need are a need. The word is necessity for a reason, right? Not because they want it, not because you want them to have it, but it's the things that they actually need. That's where it makes a difference. The moment that you can admit the difference between your needs and your wants, things change. I'm going to speak specifically to the mothers right now. Okay. I understand you need to get your hair done, your nails done, because you want to look a certain way. But is that part of the overall budget? Is that more important than what's providing for your child? Can you still do it? Absolutely. Do you do it in a conscious manner? That's the question, right?
Yeah, that's all of that's good. And I think on the thrifting, there are stores where you can get stuff brand new. Like I have gone into the like secondhand store where they Once Upon a Child is what it's called down here, and there are new Jordans in the box that like children did not
Hmm.
wear. So
Yep.
parents sold it right to the store for a third of what the store is going to sell it for, but I still got it at a good cost.
Hmm.
Um, and my son is growing out of shoes in like a month. And as soon as you give him shoes, he takes them off, he throws them everywhere. You know, like
Exactly.
toddlers chew
Yep.
on stuff. They just do weird stuff, right? And
Hmm.
so, in this necessity versus like want thing, I think the necessity is clothes and shoes. Want is what is the brand of the clothes and shoes, or what is the store I'm
Exactly.
buying them from. But
Hmm.
I realized like Walmart actually has some great clothes for toddlers,
Oh,
good
absolutely.
quality, and Garanimals is like $2.50 to $3 an item.
Hmm.
Like,
Yep.
and then every now if somebody wants to gift them some Jordans, yeah,
Oh, I'll
sure.
take it all day.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
go.
Thank
Yes,
you.
they will wear them and we
Or
will
give
take
me
care
the
of them.
hand-me-down Jordans.
Yeah,
Yes, I'll wash them,
yes,
right? Clean them off.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's thinking about that and remembering what works for your household. Remember
Hmm.
this message. Some households need message exactly as we said it, and some of you still have other necessities and wants, and they look a little bit different. So just
Right.
like take the concept. Don't be like that.
Yes.
Diamond King trying to tell me I can't buy Nikes. That's not what we said.
No. Just be conscious of how you do it. That's all it is.
Yes, and know that
Mm.
we make decisions necessary, right? Like you're talking
Yeah.
about people who grew up, right, desiring something else, and then you realize
Hmm.
when you want more out of life, all right, let me make the sacrifice. Do
Yeah.
I just need shoes to go to the gym? I don't really care what brand they are. Are they comfortable? Do they support what I'm trying to do? Okay, cool. This is where we can,
Hmm.
you know, put some money aside and save some money, right?
Right.
So I think that this leads naturally into a conversation about debt.
Okay.
And a lot of people in general, whether they got kids or not, are struggling with debt. How do you think people should approach paying off debt while still covering their bills and making, time for important things like maybe investing a little bit and building a savings?
So I think this is a blueprint and a path that has to be created based upon how your lifestyle is, right?
Mm,
Um, Number one, again, going back to the basics, how did you get in debt and why? Right?
mhm.
What did you do to put yourself in that position? Is it specifically credit card debt? Is it like back in the day, check cashing type debt? Because that was me, right? I can admit that. The 200, 300, 400% check cashings.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Ooh.
yeah, been
Yeah,
there,
hit us hard
been
back then,
there.
right? Yeah. So we have to realize, all right, what was the reason why we got in debt and what is going to transpire from that? Number two, can you get out of debt? Absolutely. Everybody can get out of debt, whether you use the avalanche, snowball method, it doesn't really matter, right? But you have to game plan it and make sure that you are putting yourself in position to actually get out of debt, but stay out of debt, right? Just because you pay off a credit card doesn't mean you need to go back and run it back up, right? Paying off the credit card is the ultimate goal. So let's go ahead and do that, cut it up, call it a day, and move on. Use that payment and then roll it into the next one until you get debt free. It's going to take time. The thing is, you have to make a decision to get out of debt and be able to, again, section money off specifically for that. I have a bank account that is specifically for paying off debt and paying bills. I don't have a card to it. I can't access it locally. It is an online bank account. It takes literally an act of Congress for me to get that money moved from one place to the next. That is how you set yourself up for success. So if you are saying, "Hey, I want to pay off this credit card," let's say I want to do $100 a month. I know that for a fact. You take $100 from your check, you put it specifically into that account, and the next day it automatically comes out and goes right to paying off that debt. You have to put a system in place. And I believe that system and processes are where people fail is because they don't have one that works for them. You can create a budget, but are you going to adhere to it? I know
Yeah,
people that have budgets and financial plans all the time, right? Personal spending plans is what I call them. Yeah, you have one. but it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna stick to it, because the moment you get that card out, right, you see something that you want, you're gonna swipe, right? You
Yep.
go from being a window shopper to actually getting it just because I see it. And that's why I try to have a correlation between people that are from a physical standpoint obese, right? And those that are from a financial standpoint obese. People can be financially obese, and it's very similar to the two, because a person that is obese from something that they eat and see is because they eat it because it's in front of them. They can see it, they have it, right?
Hmm.
It's the same thing with somebody that is financially obese. They see something that they want, so they just go buy it. Okay. But you have to train yourself and mold yourself to be able to withstand that. The same way, if you were to put yourself on a diet, right? A financial diet is the exact same thing. I'm going to work out, I'm going to put myself in better position, but you have to have a process, systems that work for you.
I like that. I like the systems, and the systems take the thought out of it. It takes your emotion out of it. Like it just is what it is, right?
Hmm.
And so the money goes, you are naturally creating this discipline and this habit, and then you're almost able to see what the extra money is, right? Like if I have a bill paying account, I know electricity changes a little bit every month, or how much I spend on gas or whatever
Hmm.
changes a little bit every month. You will see like, oh, at the end of the month, I got an extra $100. Yeah, let me just go ahead and pay off the debt. Like
Hmm.
now I can pay this credit card completely off, or this loan can get paid off faster, or yeah, I can pay off the kids, tuition, whatever it is. When you have that system, and when you just take the process out of it, it helps. It does take a mindset shift. You have got to
Hmm.
trust that that is the right thing for you to be doing.
Right.
Um, right. And then you also have to not care about what other people are going to say and think,
Hmm.
especially if you're that open with your finances. But at the end of the day, we're talking about you and your household. So you and the people in
Hmm.
your house are on the same page. That's what matters. And those systems will help a lot.
The last thing I would say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but you also got to pull society out of it. And I think
Yeah.
you made that awareness when you said that, right? Now, to stop caring about what other people think. Most people spend their time on social media and they want to keep up with the Joneses, but I I could tell you how many influencers that are out there that are my clients that are actually broke. Okay. And they're putting on this facade because they want you to see this lifestyle.
Yep.
So being a social media influencer doesn't necessarily give you the dollars that you're looking for, but it also doesn't really mean that they're living that lifestyle. So you have to be able to peel those layers back and say, hey, I'm not going to live the way that society's standards are going to tell me how I need to live. I'm going to live what's comfortable for me. Like if I ask a person, and normally, when I have a client, a new client that comes on, I say, define what wealth is to you. Because I want to know, is wealth a status? Is wealth a dollar amount? Is wealth a mindset? Is wealth something leaving it generationally for your kids, your grandkids, right? When you're able to answer that question of what wealth means to you, everything starts to click and change. Because if it's just money, if it's just purely money, all right, go out there and make it. Right? Go out there and make it. Go out there and make the money and make it happen. But if it's more to it than just that, that's when you start to have this shift of, okay, wealth is more than just money to me. It's a combination of lifestyle. It's what I want to do for my kids. It's, yes, incorporating money. It's also travel. It's having all of these things connected. So the moment that you're able to answer that question, I promise you, think about what wealth is to you. Take society out of the mix. Stop trying to keep up with everybody, because I promise you, they can't even keep up with themselves.
I'm glad you mentioned that. My Uncaped Mama platform is all about like real parenting and real solutions. And I'm not saying influencers and folks like that aren't real parents. What I'm saying is Dom's not always going to show up carefully curated, right? You're going to see me without makeup in a t-shirt sometimes because I have a message to get out. You're going to see me in the car, and, kids might yell something out in the background trying to co-sign or not, right? Like you're going to see that, and I'm
Yeah.
going to talk to you about like what's actually happening and has happened in my journey, and bring you people who are trying to do the same thing. I think it's important to
Hmm.
bring that back to social media so that you can, and my whole goal is for people to sit in their reality and decide what works for me in my house. Like if I'm going to
Hmm.
consume content, it better be helping me get better at my own thing than selling me a
Hmm.
dream that I have no
Right.
idea what to do to get it. And like, do I want it?
Right.
Like you said, do I want to be the influencer who's like struggling to eat? I don't. Like, I don't. And then like, what exactly are you influencing me to do? right? It may not align with me.
Hmm.
So I love that you mentioned that. Um, that to taking society out of that. I need everybody to write that down. Put that on a post-it
Yeah,
note, right
yeah.
on your mirror, your whiteboard, because
Put
it
it on your mirror.
the
There you go.
yeah, the moment you
Look
can
at it every
remember
day.
that, yeah, you remember that every day, like life really will get better, for sure. So the last two things I wanted to talk to you about, um, kind of go hand in hand, and I trust that you can put it together. So I want to talk about smart saving and investing. Like, how can people just start doing that? Because I know that saving and investing sometimes bring fear amongst people. And then how do you
Hmm.
navigate stress and mindset shifts when you're talking about
Mm.
getting better with money, for your family?
Okay. All right. Um, I'm definitely going to start with the investing part of it, and then we'll talk about the mindset and the stress factors. So with investing, just do it. Okay. Stop procrastinating. Stop waiting. Stop, putting it off until tomorrow. Uh, if you knew how much you could have if you started a long time ago, all right, everything would look different. Um, so one of the things that I could say, one of the one of the quotes I like to put out there, or the one-liners people like to say is, "You own the watch, not the time." Okay, and I
Mm,
want to say that again because I want y'all to really take that on, and it's in my book too. But you own the watch, not the time. And what I mean by that is time is fleeting. It's the one thing that you cannot and will not get back at all. Okay. So if you keep waiting and keep thinking that time is going to be on your side and, oh, I'm going to do it later, you're never going to do it, right? Or you're never going to be in the point at the point that you want to be in financially. If you keep trying to time the market, okay, there's no way to figure that out. There's so many ebbs and
no.
flows of things that happen in this economy with this current state. People, with the new administration came in, people like, oh, the stock market is going to run up. It's going to be great. It's down for the year, so to speak, right?
Yep.
But as a mindset, if you are younger, you should be buying anyway. It doesn't matter, right? There's a couple different ways to look at this, but number one is dollar cost averaging, right? What is dollar cost averaging? That's buying a certain stock for an average cost. Over time, you're buying it for a lesser cost than what it actually costs you. Okay, that's the best way I can put it.
Yep.
Um, but also there's these things called fractional shares. If you got $25, okay, I got $25 of my little small percentage of whatever this is, right? Amazon, Google, Facebook, whatever, right? Whatever stock you're going to purchase, you can get a fractional share. Use apps like Acorns, right? That'll take your change or stash and allow you to use a smaller amount of money just to go out here and start. That's the key. You just have to start putting yourself in position. But I know I hear it all the time. Oh, well, I don't have the money to do it. Yes, you do. You do. Because if anything, the number one rule that I give everybody, every single one of my clients, is pay yourself first. Okay.
Yep.
Before anything else, I have gone without lights because I paid myself first. I'm cool. I put on some Teddy Pendergrass and I light all these candles around this house and it's gonna be a good time because I am going to pay myself first. And that's just the reality of it. You have to put yourself in position because if you don't pay yourself first, nobody else will. Because when you get your paycheck, do you think you're the first one that actually got paid? No, your taxes comes out, right? Your
Yep.
benefits come out. Then you get what's called a net check. That's the bottom of the net. You get what's left, right? That at a net, right? So you have to think about how can I pay myself first? What ways can I can put myself in position? So with investing, you just need to start with fractional shares, start with things like Acorns or Stash. A lot of people don't even know this, but you can buy property with something as little as $100. You can buy stock or shares inside of a property or be an investor inside of a property for as little as $100. So on paper, I own 172 properties because I'm an owner of 172 properties, my little small piece of it, whatever it may be. Now, it may be less than 1%, it could be 2%, whatever. That's fine. But I can say I own it. I get money off of it. When somebody pays rent, I get my piece of it. That's how
Yeah.
you put yourself in position to do other things. But then there's this stress factor, right? I'm stressed about money. I am stressed about how I'm gonna, make it next, to the next day, paycheck to paycheck. Listen, I've been in all of those places. And I tell people all the time, learn from my mistakes and my failures because they will be your successes. Before I got to where I am today, I was 25 years old. I filed bankruptcy. I had a house foreclosed on me and my car repossessed. 12 years later, none of that could ever happen again. because I learned from the things that I didn't do and the things that I should have done. And I love to tell my story because people are like, "Oh, well, how did you get there?" I learned. I applied the knowledge. I didn't just obtain the knowledge, right? I actually listened and put myself around people that were going to say, "Okay, these are the things you need to do to be different." So when it comes to stressful factors, you have to take the stress out of money. Money comes and goes. That's just the reality of it. Money comes and goes. One of the biggest thing that I learned about how to manage the stress of money is realize that money is more than just one currency. It's actually three currencies. I didn't make this up. I just make this look good. So you got time, you got money, and you got knowledge.
Yep.
Most of the time, okay, we have two of the three. So we have two of those and we're chasing the third one. So if you're trying to get money, that means you need to use your time and the knowledge in order to go get it. That's just the reality of it. Now remember, you own the watch, not the time. So if you don't have time, you got to make the time. Okay. If you don't have the knowledge, you need to go get it. So you got to start somewhere. So there's not going to be one person out there to say, "Oh, well, I ain't got time, I ain't got knowledge, and I ain't got no money." Yeah, you do, but you have to
Yeah.
want it for yourself. You have to want it for yourself. You have to put yourself in that position to say, "I'm going to go get it." So you need to take the stress of money away. You need to control what you can control. Oh, am I
Uh-oh.
am I
You're
here?
back.
We here? I'm sorry. Did I
Yep.
lose you?
I think you're back. Can you hear me?
Wait, what happened?
We're back. Can you
Can
hear
you hear
me?
me? Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Yep.
All right, you go ahead, edit that out. Okay, so
Yes.
control what you can control
Yep.
and make sure that you are you're setting yourself in position to do things better. Because at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah. I like that. I remind myself that money is a tool to get me things, but it is not the only currency, right? When people say your network is your net worth, like your net worth is your network, it's true. Your connection to
Mhm.
somebody else could get you the knowledge or help you save the time to get the
Yes,
money, right?
yes.
And I would say, I mean, 12 years ago, like based on your story, we were kind of in similar places. Like I also filed bankruptcy. I just like I didn't know what to do at 28, and you were the first person who told me about paying myself first. And I was like, that's crazy. How I'm pay myself first? I ain't got no money, right? And I had to shift my mindset and say, just start. So I
Mhm.
started. People think that this is crazy. They think it's a lie, but I literally started putting away $5 into my savings account. Now I'm making 45,000 a year at this point. No
Mhm.
kids, no property, like right, just a bunch of debt and a bunch of bad decisions in my 20s.
Yes.
And so you would be like, making $45,000 a year, you only put away $5 a paycheck? Yeah, because I needed to build the habit. Now I did that for a month, and then the next month I'm up to 50, and then I
Mhm.
did that a little bit longer, and now we're talking about 75 to 100, which is able to sustain itself over time. The heartbreak comes when you got to use the savings, but at the same time,
Right.
it's not really heartbreaking because I didn't have it fully clicked for me when I didn't have to go get a loan when my
Mhm.
car broke down. I didn't have to ask anybody to borrow any money, right? So
Right.
it hurts because you're like, oh, I got to drain the bank account for this $1,200 because here we go again. And at the same time, it's like, wait a minute. The girl who couldn't save $5 saved $1,200 to
Mhm.
cover an emergency that people can't do right now because we got to build the habit, right?
Right.
So it's all good nuggets, and I would say you maybe didn't necessarily say anything that people haven't heard before per se, but I would say you made it real. Like to be able to talk to a father, a business owner, somebody who's able to say 12 years ago I would say 12 years ago you had the knowledge. You
Mhm. I
did. You
just didn't
taught me some
apply it.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
had the knowledge, right? And so that consistency of applying, you do it long enough, you start to see like exponential growth there, and the success
Yes.
can happen for you if you keep grinding it out. And we're not talking in like a toxic positivity sort of way.
Right.
Right? We understand that there are people in poverty who just need money.
Mhm.
And some of that stuff is systemic, right? And that's where you get yourself in position to help people, right? That's where
Right.
the passing down of the clothes and the donations and the being out there in the community and supporting people comes in. But it ain't no way I should be making six figures
Right.
struggling.
Yeah. And
So
that's an everyday thing,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of it is I used to tell people there's like a lifestyle poor and then there's like actual poverty. And some of us are
Hmm.
just lifestyle poor. Somebody said when you make over a certain amount of money, you need a Benz. So you went and got a Benz and you forgot how much the
That you got to
maintenance
gas it up too.
was. Yeah, you gotta insure it, you gotta
Yeah.
fill it up, you gotta maintain it, right? And so like maybe you shouldn't have, maybe you should have stuck with the Toyota or the Chevy, right?
Yeah.
Until
Yes.
forever, maybe you realize actually that don't matter as much to me as taking vacations or whatever with my family. So
Mhm.
I appreciate you talking about all of this stuff, for making it real, for just helping to have a conversation about being conscious about your money and your mindset, and hopefully giving some people some hope. How can people connect with you if they're like, okay, I like what he's saying, or maybe I'm a little skeptical, but I think I need some help? How can they get help from you and your organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Envision Wealth Foundation is specifically, catered for that reason, right? It's a national 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization, and that's where we try to help as many people as possible. We do a 9-month cohort every year where we bring in a certain amount of individuals, and we just simply help them with their finances, whether they're a business owner, individual that wants to be a business owner, somebody that just wants to have, a better understanding of how to get out of debt. So with the Envision Wealth Foundation, you can find us at envisionwealth.org. Or, of course, you can find us on Instagram at EnvisionWealthORG. If you want to come and speak with me personally about some of the other services, or if you say, "Hey, you know what? I got a little money. I'm gonna pay for what this looks like because I really want to do better." Of course, you can reach me on Instagram at THE_financial doctor. So that's the underscore financial doctor. You could also go to www.theaccountinglab.co. That is .co, not .com. If you need help with taxes, if you want to do some tax planning, you could also go to soon, very, very soon, you can go to drkingmccray.com, where I will be releasing my second book. And you can learn more about how to have a conscious dollar mindset. That is going to be coming out here within the next 2 weeks. So that's going to be very
Nice.
important for a lot of you.
Nice. So by the time that
Yeah.
this summit is launching, that book is going to be out. So y'all won't have any excuse. It should be
No
available by
excuses.
then.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. Also, I missed the first book. So my bad. I need to go get it. I need to go get the
Yes.
first book and definitely get the second book. I'm actually reading books now. Y'all I know I told y'all I used to buy a lot of books and not
You
read them. I
buy
read them.
books and not read them.
Yeah, no, I do a lot better about that. So
Yeah.
thank you
So
so much
so
for
for the
having. Yeah, go
Absolutely.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, for those of you that are looking for additional ways to have more money, right? If you say, "Hey, I need more money to do more things so I can pay off my debt," definitely go research my first book. It's called Your Financial Prescriptions. Excuse me, Your Financial Checkup: The Prescriptions to Mailbox Money, and it tells you about ways to create multiple income streams using your everyday dollars. Okay, so that's just
Mm,
something that you should really, really look at and realize. I think it's important. And then once you realize how to make the money, then you get a conscious dollar mindset on how to use that money with the second book. But I'm going to make sure that it is available. And as a token of my appreciation for Dom allowing me to come on here and just be able to give that. To give this information to people, I'm going to give the organization 10 free books, and you all can feel free to give those to whoever you would like to.
absolutely, yes, we will do that. That's amazing. We will do a little raffle situation around the summit. So y'all stay tuned for that. I appreciate that so much. That way we're able to support some families. And I love the series. Like the beginning is like, here's how to make more money.
Hmm.
Second, now here's what to do with it. So I
Yes.
love that.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you for spending time with us today. This was a great conversation as always. We
Appreciate
will
it.
see you all in the next part of the Parent Porch Summit. So stay tuned to your inboxes, and you'll be getting the next set in a few hours. I hope you enjoyed that session. Make sure that you stay in touch with us for more content on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. It is Parent Porch, ParentPorch. Also follow me on all platforms at Uncaped Mama, UNCAPEDMAMA. Continue to stay connected with us by email. Make sure you check your email for some goodies as well, and to stay up to date on all of our events and happenings, and to be ready for your next session. See you in the next one.